Story 1. Everyone I've met at the pottery studio so far has been amazingly welcoming and fun to be around. Story 2. My sister called it grandma vibes. I enjoy knitting, crocheting, cross-stitching, embroidery, and sewing. One day my coworker hosted a cross-stitching gathering during lunch, and at first I sat just to be another person in the room. Then it became so interesting that I told my coworker and the others who liked those hobbies that I wanted to start cross-stitching. The next day they all chipped in to buy me tools. Thread, needles, fabric to stitch on, and patterns to follow. They said if I needed more thread, they would buy it for me and buy my next pattern. It has been cozy and loving ever since. Story 3. Fiber arts. Everyone I have met who does sewing, spinning, crocheting, quilting, or similar activities is kind and welcoming. Story 4. Microscopy seems to draw a pretty friendly crowd. Story 5. I've been taking a hand-building sculpture class in pottery and ceramic arts, and everyone there is adorable. People are making gnome jars, little trees growing out of stumps that serve as toilet paper holders, and a dog that functions as a candle holder. It's amazing to see the creativity and to banter while playing with clay. Story 6. Most hikers I have come across are friendly and welcoming. Much of the hiking community is based on the today you, tomorrow me mindset when assisting another hiker with supplies for first aid or, in the worst case, rescue. Story 7. Everyone I have ever met who enjoyed knitting felt like a warm hug. Story 8. I think there can be great people in every hobby community, and you will also find gatekeepers. It might take some interaction to find out who can be kind and who is determined to be a jerk. Story 9. People who volunteer and do community work tend to be very empathetic. They have seen struggles firsthand and usually have kind hearts. Story 10. Woodworkers are often somewhat averse to socializing, but they make thoughtful gifts and will volunteer to build or fix things because they know how and believe helping others is the right thing to do. Story 11. In my experience, people who look scary are often the nicest, for example, punks, goths, skaters, and metalheads. Story 12. It's not about music. Everyone is so competitive. Even when it's a hobby, they try to one-up you over the slightest detail. Story 13. The hiking community was very kind and open-minded. When I completed the 2,650-mile Pacific Crest Trail this summer, everyone was very welcoming. Riding a motorcycle across the continent felt different. Riders seemed more uptight. Story 14. Board game groups have always been very welcoming to me. Story 15. People list their hobbies because most are kind and become even kinder when doing what they love. Story 16. I enjoy spending time with people who read for leisure. I have been in a few book clubs, and they seem to attract kind people. Story 17. Disc golfers are some of the nicest people. They often smoke cannabis and throw discs in the woods. Story 18. This may be random, but I have noticed that people who love escape rooms are often very nice and, as a bonus, very intelligent. Story 19. Honestly, gardening. Every gardener I've met will hand you a cutting, tell you 3 stories, and send you home with more tomatoes than you can carry. It's like a universal rule. If someone spends time caring for plants, they often end up caring for people as well. Story 20. Trail running is generally less formal than road racing. Runners tend to be supportive of each other, and the lack of standardization means most people are simply in it to have fun outdoors. Story 21. The punk community has the nicest and most accepting people you will ever meet. Story 22. A very niche one here, but I got into historical European martial arts a couple years ago, and 99% of the people I have met through it have been awesome. I work with 3 local clubs and have competed in 4 large tournaments, so I have met a lot of people in the community. I have met exactly one person who was a little off-putting. A few fencers have bad reputations, but they are a tiny minority. Because the sport is small, everyone tends to know each other and the community polices itself. And bullies quickly become unwelcome at clubs and events. Story 23. Train spotting. There's a whole community of people interested in trains and different forms of transit, and from what I've seen, they're all friendly. Story 24. Genuine, kind people enjoy caring for bugs, spiders, and reptiles. These animals are often feared by others, Yet such people care for them wholeheartedly. They tend to be open-minded and not judgmental. Those who especially like spiders demonstrate uncommon compassion. Story 25. I am going to assume people with hobbies are generally happier and happy people are kinder. Story 26. Hiking and backpacking. Everyone on the trail is supportive. The harder the hike, the more so. Story 27. Crochet. I have been crocheting since my children were little, and every new crocheter I meet is lovely. I recently met a young woman online who makes giant plush toys. Story 28. Volunteering has been a part of my life since my teenage years. I truly felt a sense of community and friendship. As an adult, I struggle to find time to volunteer on weekends, but I remain connected with the people I met there. Seeing how some of them continue to dedicate their time and resources motivates me to become a better version of myself every day. Story 29. In my experience, scrapbooking, junk journaling, and collage art are wonderful because there are no limits to what you can do. The weirder your creations are, the better they often turn out. I would never tell someone that their work is too much or that I do not get it, because the work is often based on intuition or something personal to the creator. Story 30. Volunteering at an animal shelter requires patience and kindness. Story 31. In my area, the sewing community is incredible. I have been welcomed with open arms, and everyone is so damned nice. However, I know this is not the case everywhere, especially for young people. I would extend that to the fiber and textile arts in general, especially cross-stitch. The people involved are like angels. I would say the fountain pen community is also amazing. They are generous, welcoming, honest, and genuinely lovely people. Story 32. I am a guitarist, not a metalhead, but metalheads have an unexpectedly kind, salt-of-the-earth vibe. Story 33. Gardening. We are enthusiasts who love making the world, its plants and animals better and want to help things grow. Story 34. Most woodworkers I have met are welcoming and always happy to share information or techniques. Story 35. Going to the gym is an individual activity. People are usually supportive. Some can be rude, but most are kind, want to see you succeed, and are welcoming to beginners. Story 36. Running, especially marathoning, has been very supportive and uplifting in my experience, regardless of ability. Story 37. People who love to garden, even at a small scale with houseplants, are some of the most generous and kind people. They even know how to hide a body. Story 38. You know what hobby is not welcoming? Homebrewing. Seems like it would be, and some people are welcoming. However, the number of pompous, self-important, and self-aggrandizing snobs in the hobby is too high. Don't avoid it just because some people are unpleasant. You can become a homebrewer without ever talking to anyone else who does it. If you do talk to people, be prepared for strongly held but scientifically unfounded opinions on everything. Story 39. Volunteering attracts kind, generous people who give their time. Once I discovered that culture, I took it on as a full-time job and never looked back. It's hard to have a bad day when you're surrounded by wonderful people. Story 40. Euro-style board gaming attracts many people on the autism spectrum, and while some people may seem unusual, almost everyone I have met has been friendly and welcoming. Story 41. Skateboarding culture is incredibly supportive and chill. Skaters help each other with tricks. If someone attacks you because you are a skater, a brotherhood often comes out quickly, even more so if the skater is female. This happened a lot in the 1990s. Many people disliked skaters and felt it was acceptable to hassle them. I saw a few people struck with a skateboard, the trucks making the first impact. It hits harder than a baseball bat. It is not as much of a problem these days. Story 42. Great question. I scan the comment section for people who are kind. I need more kindness in my life. Story 43. I have yet to meet a mean person who does watercolor painting. Old ladies who will talk your ear off, yes, but they are harmless. The rest are retired birders, artists, nerds, queer people, and others. All are lovely and whimsical. Story 44. Falconry would have to be up there. Anyone who likes animals is normally a fairly kind person. Story 45. A random example. Chalk art. There are festivals everywhere. The artists usually do not mind that the work will disappear immediately. Most work for free and want to spend time creating beautiful pieces for the community. Artists are generous with advice and supplies. Story 46. People who garden apologize to a plant when they accidentally snap a leaf. Anyone who treats something that cannot talk back with that much care is usually kind to people, too. Animal rescue workers also show this. If you can get peed on by a scared puppy and still say, "It's okay, buddy," your kindness is built into your deoxyribonucleic acid. Story 47. I'm looking for anyone saying cycling so I can downvote them. Story 48. Kind folks cluster in hobbies where patience beats ego. Crafts, critters, and quiet skills tend to grow the softest people. Anything that needs calm hands and steady focus usually builds generous minds. Story 49. People who grow plants are usually kind because they have the patience to keep something alive. Story 50. My dad is part of a model train group of kind misfits, but they are all dying out. Woodwind band members tend to be good people if you can stick to groups without delusions of grandeur. Story 51. Geocaching. We love to explore interesting places and learn. A big part of the culture is cleaning up litter. Story 52. I have met the friendliest people while hiking. Everyone you pass greets you, often offering encouraging words and telling you how far you are from the end of the trail. Story 53. At its core, it is raving. The community is centered around peace, love, unity, respect. I have met some of the most amazing and rare people through this environment. I have also met some of humanity's worst because of it. A good rule of thumb is that people who only rave are usually not that genuine or kind. Story 54. Mountain biking, at least the more casual intermediate type. I haven't been to many places, but the few I visited had a really nice vibe. If you get any kind of bike issue, people will stop their run and try to help. If they can tell you're scared at the top, they will talk to you, saying things like, "Hey, you got this. Are you sure you got this?" Or, "I don't know if I can do this." It was lots of fun, and even though people were in groups that didn't know each other, it felt like one big group. It can get more toxic in areas where people grew up running downhill on black diamond trails and they just want you to go or get out of the way. Story 55. I'll give the opposite answer to the other question. Winemakers versus wine drinkers. Wine connoisseurs are great at douchebags and very pretentious. Winemakers are down to earth and will help anyone make wine out of anything. Equipment for beginners and experts is largely identical. A plastic bucket for fermenting, a glass carboy for aging, and an inexpensive airlock and hydrometer. There really isn't any name brand equipment. We all use the same stuff and are just trying to hooch the fruit we have access to. Story 56. People who ran cross-country or track in high school were nice. I still think runners are kind. In my experience, if you are competitive, it is more about competing with yourself. Other runners might push you to be better, but it never feels like you are competing against each other. Everyone is trying to be the best version of themselves. Story 57. I do not have high blood pressure, but if I did, it would go down 20 points reading this thread. What a perfectly lovely and apparently endless bunch of people. Story 58. Maybe I have gotten lucky, but everyone I know who plays Dungeons and Dragons is very nice. Story 59. At least on Reddit, I am pleasantly surprised by the kindness in the fragrance community. Story 60. I have met extraordinary people through karaoke. Pretty much all of them are great. Story 61. I have met some of the most amazing people volunteering at a dog rescue. I genuinely enjoy volunteering there. It may be a matter of perspective. Story 62. Fountain pen enthusiasts are pretty relaxed. Check out the subreddit fountain pens. They are friendly people who obsess over long, hard writing instruments. Story 63. People who work with animals are often compassionate. Anyone who can bond with creatures that can't even talk back has a soft heart. Story 64. Lava lamps. Some of the most delightful Facebook groups I have ever been in. Story 65. Dungeons and Dragons. We are strange and have many other flaws, but everyone is extremely kind. Story 66. Raving and disc jockeying. There are some egos, but if you know where to look, you will discover the coolest people through electronic music. Story 67. Scrabble. The casual meetups are all very nice. The not-so-casual meetups I have gone to where they use timers are also nice, but they will kick your ass. Story 68. I know there are jerks at the gym, but every serious powerlifter I have met is incredibly kind. Unlike bodybuilding, which focuses on physical appearance and tends to attract very vain people, powerlifting attracts people who may not be naturally athletic and want to push themselves toward measurable goals. I joined a gym with many serious powerlifters and remember a smaller man just getting into lifting. The whole gym welcomed him. He set a goal to bench 160 pounds. That was not even a warm-up for most people there. But when he hit it, the whole gym was ecstatic that he had stuck with it and reached a milestone. I think many powerlifters, including myself, have self-esteem and body image issues. When a community forms, it becomes a group of people who see how strong others are but still doubt themselves. Instead of jealousy or gatekeeping, it becomes a community of constant encouragement because everyone understands each other and how much it means to reach new goals. Story 69. I have progressed far in several hobbies that became communities. I think the people you surround yourself with make the biggest difference in whether a hobby attracts kind people. Story 70. Anyone who collects rocks, figures, vintage items, plushies, or similar things. Thrift shoppers are great and are part of the collecting community. Anyone who loves hiking, nature, exploration, geocaching, or randonauting. Story 71. I dance for fun. It is not competitive. I attend rock and heavy metal concerts. Story 72. The kindest people do not care what you do for a hobby. They are just happy that you enjoy it. Anyone can have a hobby. That does not mean they are kind because of a specific one. Story 73. The kindest people are in gardens, kitchens, shelters, or out hiking. Basically anywhere chaos cannot survive. Story 74. Gardening. The daily ritual of nurturing plants mainly for the sake of seeing them thrive attracts people who are patient, curious, and thoughtful. Being at the mercy of the elements also brings understanding and humility. The weather can get the best of anyone. There are not many competitive elements in gardening, but even those who are competitive will share their tips, give you a plant cutting, and help you solve a problem. Story 75. I go to a local place that offers a variety of classes, including fiber arts, paint pouring, pottery, and more. I have had pleasant experiences there. Story 76. Maybe volunteer work, especially with children or animals. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.